What up, and greetings. Welcome to another Hearthstone card review. As promised, today I'll be doing a mega review. I'll be talking about 9 cards that are coming out. The cards are being revealed at an alarming pace, and I just need to catch up. And in order for us not to be here for half a day, let's get straight into it and talk about the first one. What Blizzard has done is that they've given a couple of streamer cards to reveal, and then people could vote as in what card they want to be revealed first. And Crip has obviously won with his followers, and this is the card that he's given us. It's a 5 mana 4/6 Shaman legendary, Hallazeal the Ascended. Whenever your spells deal damage, restore that much health to your hero. So, okay, Control Shaman is getting a bit of love. Blizzard is probably hoping that Face Shaman, that is very popular and very strong lately, is not going to become the next king and only archetype of Shaman that is being played. Hopefully, we're going to see a couple of more tools. I'm sort of hoping for another card that would unlock mana crystals or something that would benefit from being overloaded for more than 1 mana crystal, sort of how we saw with Trog. Will this be enough to make Control Shaman viable? That's very hard to say because we haven't seen a lot of the cards that are still going to be revealed. We don't know what cards are going to be nerfed. And overall, it's just, nigh impossible to predict the meta before all the cards have been revealed and we can actually play them out. So very difficult to say. I wish for Shaman to have another option except for face. It would be quite nice for Shamans to have another option rather than just smorking the opponent before turn 5 because maybe it's not what everyone enjoys. This card is okay, statted compared to something like a Mistcaller that was just a joke. Everyone thought that the card was insane and it was terrible, just pure trash, and Neptulon was just a gimmicky card rather than, a serious card. You can play this on turn 6 with the Lightning Bolt and heal for free. It's okay. But this card will shine with something like a Lightning Storm. With Wrath of Air Totem, you deal something like 15 to 20 damage, and you laugh in the face of aggro. And yeah, potentially this card is insane. It is definitely one of the best cards that have been revealed so far, if not the best card. I have very high hopes for Shaman. I can't wait until I can try this card out. Shaman actually got a decent legendary? I can't believe it! I can't believe it! Next card on the list is a Warrior Pirate. I know, right? That's weird. I thought Rogues got Pirates. Blizzard seems to be pushing Pirates to another class, similar to how they did with, Shamans having Murlocs and then Paladin getting Murlocs as well. It is kind of unfair that Rogues are the only class that has class-specific Pirates. So here we have it. Enzov's First Mate is a 1/1 for 1 mana that equips a 1/3 Rusty Hook. I do assume that Rusty Hook is just a 1/3 weapon similar to a Light's Justice, except for 1 less durability. Enzo's theme seems to be having a lot of little minions, sort of like a swarm feel to it. And also Death Rattle, as we're going to be taking a look at the Old God himself later on in this video. Okay, so is it better than a Light's Justice? Yes, it's better than a Light's Justice, but then again, Light's Justice is trash. You are getting that 1/1 body, plus it's a pirate, which I don't know how much that can count towards, but it's definitely cooler than a Light's Justice. Is it as good as Muster for Battle? Probably not, because Muster for Battle is crazy OP, and this is also 1 mana compared to Muster, which is 3 mana, so it's not the same card that you play in a similar situation. It might be very viable in Aggro Warrior. I think that this is going to shine in. You can play this on turn 1 with something like a coin, Selfsea Deckhand to hit the opponent for free damage. You can play this to answer an opponent's Leper Gnome and keep the 1/3 or a 1/2 after killing Leper Gnome to kill something like Abusive Sergeant or another Leper Gnome the turn after. I think that's really good to stabilize on board. So overall, a great early game tool. It's much better than a Warbot that has been a laughingstock. Trying to implement this turn 1 relevant play for Warrior has just not turned out to be working. So hopefully this will go down a better route than the Warbot has gone. All Warrior decks are going to be losing Deathspite. That is a fact that all Warriors are going to be finding to replace the Deathspite. This is no Deathspite. It's definitely not as good of a card as Deathspite. It definitely doesn't serve the same purpose as a Deathspite. And we have a Warrior card coming later on in the review that is also definitely not going to replace Deathspite. So we have to just wait and see to see if Blizzard is going to surprise us with some actual good Warrior weapon. Enzov's First Mate, yeah. Hi, I think it's decent. This card is actually quite decent. Next card is another one that was added into the Faceless tribe, similar to Herald Volash that I was talking about in the previous video. It's called Faceless Shambler for 4 mana. It's got Taunt and Battlecry copies a friendly minion's attack and health. So it is a 1/1, but because it copies the health and attack of another minion, it basically becomes the minion mirrored, but with Taunt. So useful against aggro, maybe. This card stands and falls depending on what they will do with Silence, because right now, as it stands, Silence is probably worth about 2 health. You look at something like an owl, it would be a 2/3 beast otherwise, like a River Crocolisk, but it's a 2/1 and it has Silence effect. Spellbreaker is a 4/3, it would have been a 4/5 if it was a Yeti, and it has Silence effect. Now this is very cheap for what Silence does to very powerful effects in the game. If they decide to nerf it to something like Owl becoming 4 mana, compare Silence to something like a Black Knight's effect, where, you know, you're destroying the minion, fair enough, but you're paying 2 extra mana and the minion has to have a taunt in order for this effect to take place. With Silence, you're only paying 2 health, and you're potentially silencing this minion to 1/1. And even if Silence gets nerfed heavily, I don't think that this minion will get played just because it's 4 mana. And, you know, the ideal scenario, I guess, you know, is to be against aggro, play something like an Eerie statue, coin on turn 3, and then play turn 4 this on the Eerie statue and, you know, just laugh. But other than that, I don't think that it will be played. You know, Faceless Manipulator, at least when it's Silence, it still stays the stats that the minion was. It's not a 3/3 or something like that. Overall, not a great card. I don't see it getting played even if Silence gets nerfed heavily. Yeah, Faceless Shambler, Faceless Shambles. Next card on the list is another one of the old gods that Blizzard has shown us. As you could have guessed by now, it's N'Zoth, which I think is the way to pronounce it. N'Zoth, the Corruptor Battlecry, summons your Death Rattle minions that die this game. It's another 10 mana minion. This time is a 5/7, so out of BGH range, even though fingers crossed BGH will get nerfed before the expansion hits us. It resummons your Death Rattle minions. So what sort of Death Rattle minions would you like to be resummoned? We're losing a lot of good Death Rattle minions. You can take a look at Sneeds, even, you know, piloted Shredders and piloted Sky Golems. So what's remaining right now is only a couple of really powerful neutral Death Rattle minions like Sylvanas or Cairn. The rest of them are class specific, like Savannah Highmane, but that's the only one that you can really play multiples of, because the other ones noticeable are cards like Ronin, Tyrion, and Anubarak that are class legendaries that you can only have one of. This might also be one of the cards that can really surprise us, as in what it can generate on board and how useful that can become. It might be just a crazy powerhouse. We don't know what powerful Death Rattle minions are going to be coming out, because there's like 100 cards to yet be revealed from the upcoming expansion, and what exactly is going to get nerfed. 5/7 body is alright, but I think for 10 mana it could have been something like a 6/10 body if you want to keep it out of BGH range. If you compare it to something like Anything Can Happen, which is a 10 mana spell that resummons some of your stuff that died that game, then again, Anything Can Happen only really works because some of the Murlocs got charged and the other Murlocs buffed those chargers, and you can get the opponent from like 20 health to 0 in one turn, whereas Death Rattle minions don't really have charge, and I don't think that this deck will work in the same way. When you play this on turn 10, unless some of the cards that you bring back will have taunts, it doesn't really save you from, you know, incoming damage. And Sludge Belch is going out, so we might see another card, Powerful Taunt, that will have Death Rattle as well, that this might synergize very well with. We still have to see another 100 cards or so from the expansion, so there's definitely going to be Death Rattle cards that will synergize amazingly well with this card. Hard to predict. I wish that it will see play. I love those new cards. I love the art. I will definitely be spending a lot of dust on just crafting golden legendaries like Volash, like this card possibly, if it's any good. You know, I'm gonna make it. I am very appreciative of Blizzard steering away from TGT and League of Explorers, which was very lighthearted, and putting a bit of seriousness and a bit of darkness into Hearthstone, because I really loved Naxxramas despite the powerhouse that it has been. Yeah, I'm so excited, basically. Ends of the Corruptor, second god. We'll have to see for the next two what they're bringing up to the table. That being said, not everything is so serious in Whispers of the Old Gods. It's a neutral minion, also coming from the Enzof's tribe. It's called Brood of Enzov, and it's definitely in tight competition with Murloc Tinyfin, as in who's the cutest in Hearthstone. For 3 mana at 2/2, it better do something good, and I just don't think that the effect justifies it being so understated. Death Rattle, give your minions +1/+1 is good, but you have to sort of set it up. Right, currently there's 2 cards in the game that buff other minions on their death. One of them is Dark Cultist. That is an amazing card, but unfortunately for Priest, is going to rotate out with the introductions of Whispers of the Old Gods. The other one is Anubis of Sentinel, which is quite a bad card, even in Arena. Usually the opponent just kills it as the last card on board, meaning that it won't buff anything. At least the War Leader, that's a 2/2 for free, buffs the minions instantly rather than when it dies. So when you have a full board of 1/1 minions, at least they can trade efficiently or push for the face. I don't think it's an amazing card. It's a cute card, but not an amazing card anyway. Next card on the list, we have a Rogue class card. Rogues and Shamans are getting some love this expansion. Ladies and gentlemen, your cries have been answered. He's called Undercity Hustler? Huckster. Okay, it's a 2 mana, 2/2 with Death Rattle, adds a random class card to your hand from your opponent's class. You can think of it as a pseudo Dark Peddler for Rogue, despite the fact that it doesn't give you the card when it comes into play, but rather when it dies. It sort of enables combos, and it gives you card advantage over the opponent. If you spend a card to deal with this card, you're 1 card ahead. Each class has about 50 cards that you can get. Some of them might be potentially completely useless, and some of them might be great. This gives you an even greater spread of cards than any cards in the game can really generate. When you take something like a Spell Slinger, it is still a spell. This, you don't know what's it gonna be until you encounter a hero, then you know what class it's gonna be, but you still don't know which of the 50 class card it might become when you play this card. It is a very cool design. Like Fought Steel, Blizzard is trying to prove that rogues are the best thieves in the game, unlike priests, but I disagree. This card might become what Cutpurse was aiming to be if it was a bit more reasonably statted. Let's say if it was a 2/3, I think it would find its place in some rogue decks, whereas this has the potential of becoming a staple. Not every game you can get that Coin Defias Ringleader, and it's also not as winning as it used to be when it used to be a 2/3 and a 2/1 body. That's why it isn't played. And if this card doesn't create immediate advantage late game, it can be a possible combo enabler. And the theme is sort of similar to Burgle or Nefarian, where it draws the cards from your opponent's class rather than from his deck. So it's kind of less reliable than discovering a card through Dark Peddler or drawing it from your opponent's deck because he probably has some usable card in his deck. Rogues could definitely do with a bit of a buff. Not to get back to the good old days of Miracle reigning the ladder, but a tiny buff, I think is in place, and this card might just do that. It's cool card, cool design. Yeah, man. I hope rogues will be played more than they are. Next card on the list is another one that was given to streamers, this time to Forsen. It is a Warlock class card. Renounce Darkness is a spell that replaces your hero power and Warlock cards that are in your deck and in your hand with another classes. The cards also cost 1 less. So excuse me if I'm wrong, but this card is potentially completely insane. It can win you a game just like on a coin flip. You just get a completely random 1 out of 9 hero and their class cards. I guess it's all like from the same hero, right? Otherwise, it's just completely confusing. You get like class card from random. No, I think it's 1 hero and you get the class card for that class, I guess. But, you might get cards that are completely useless. You might get for your 1 mana minions, you can get Sacrificial Pacts and stuff like that. And it is really, really bad because you're not playing against a Jaraxxus. So I'm not really sure what are they, it might just be a fun card. Yes, so potentially your neutral cards don't change. So you can put some neutral cards that this card won't affect, and then you can rely on those neutral card not changing into another class card, and the rest of these cards might get accelerated. And yeah, you might think of it as a mass unstable portal, and unstable portal is good, right? But if you were playing the unstable portal brawl, sometimes it's just a total whiff, and you're gonna get that more often than you think you will. This is just a fun card for me. It's not meant too seriously, I think. That's maybe why Forsen got it. I'm not too sure. Yeah, we're gonna definitely see some trolled videos regarding this card, but not too much play on ladder, I guess. And we're getting towards the end of our review with second to last card is called the Boogeymonster. Is a neutral legendary minion. For 8 mana, you get a 6/7, and whenever this minion attacks and it kills another one, it gets +2/+2. So is this any better than Gruul? Sometimes. It depends. If BG8 still exists, it is better than Gruul because it doesn't die straight away on his next turn. Is this good? No, it's not good. You're joking me. It's a 6/7 for 8 mana. I mean, for 8 mana, you can get a Kel'Thuzad and then revive your entire board, on the same turn. This doesn't do anything on the turn it's played. It's 2 mana more than a Bodafist Ogre, and it's the same stats. It is just trash, legendary, but unfortunately, there has to be some trash in order for some to be gold. The only class that I can potentially see this being played a little bit is Priest with Circle and healing up back with Holy Nova. Maybe it can survive that turn when it comes into play and then keep getting buffed. I don't have much faith, but maybe someone can make that happen and prove me wrong. Overall, the 8 mana legendaries have not been great. Look at Foe Reaper, and I think Foe Reaper is still better than this card for what it does. Nah. Boogeymonster, go scare someone else. The next card on the list, and also the worst card on the list, and the worst card on any list, possibly the worst card in Hearthstone alongside Major Domo, is the card that Xiao had to reveal. It's called Tentacle for Arms. It's a 5 mana warrior weapon, 2/2. I'm going to say that again. It's a 5 mana warrior weapon. It's a 2/2. And Death Rattle, it returns itself to your hand. Blizzard, why you hate warriors so much lately, eh? I don't know. They're losing Deathbite. This is not a replacement for Deathbite, and it will never be. Warriors, if there's not another weapon that will come out, possibly a common, as this is an epic, there might be another card coming out that might serve as a replacement for Deathbite, because otherwise Warrior might be looking to go back to using Arcanite Reaper like they did before Deathbite came along, and they will possibly use Gorehowl in a lot of decks now. If there's not a good weapon, this is just trash. It's just Poison Dagger level trash. Probably even worse than Poison Dagger. It is like Skeleton Knight that you don't want to play out of your hand to begin with because it's so expensive for what it does. Let alone play it again. It is just, what? This card, I will possibly disenchant it every single time that I will be getting it, just because I just hate it. It is just so bad. I mean, yeah, it's a tentacle, but like not everything that's a tentacle is cool. A lot of things that are a tentacle are sort of cool, but this is not cool. Not cool, Blizzard, man. Not cool. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below what you think about the new cards. I might be terribly wrong on all of them, like we were on cards like Grim Patron and Dr. Boom. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please don't be shy to hit that like button, because it really helps me out get higher in the searches and for more people to see this video. If you're feeling extra special, subscribe to my channel for more Hearthstone content coming very, very soon. And until next time, bye! Take care!